I am Anya Katsevman, and I am NYC Salsa Socials Dancer of the Month. I started dancing when I was 10 because my older brother was playing around with ballroom dancing. It's just something that, in Ukraine, people did after school activities all the time, and he chose dance. And I was too young to choose anything at the time. But when we immigrated to the States, he started to do it a little bit more often, so my parents would take me because they would take him, and I just sort of fell into it. Ever since I was a little kid, that's sort of all I've known, and I always felt very grateful and fortunate for that because it helped me feel like I always had that other thing that I was into. So I would go to school and I would see kids, interact with one another and want to hang out after school, and for me it was always like, I have dance.
Yes.
And I would go to competitions over the weekend, and I would always have stories to share when I would come back to school. And we wore this awful tanner, and my skin was always colored, and it always made for good conversation, always helped me feel like I was working towards something even when I was young. To be themselves. It's very, a learning environment is extremely vulnerable, so it's very challenging, and there's always a lot of comparison in the contrast of things. And I think once you start comparing yourself to other people or their accomplishments or their skill set or level, you often take a step back from who you are and what you want to do, and you're following someone else's path, which isn't yours. And then you develop a style that isn't yours and skills that you're not really interested in. So I think it's super important when you're going into any learning environment to remember to be true to what you like. Develop the things that are interesting for you. It doesn't matter if somebody else likes this. If you like that, look for somebody that can offer you that, develop that in yourself, stay in your own lane kind of, because you only have yourself to compare yourself to. So your progress is unique to your skill set, your interest, and everything that is basically revolving around you. So the more you can stay true to who you are, what you like, and kind of in that zone, the faster you improve. You are exposed to a lot of self-discovery when you're learning anything, I think. So the awareness of self, the presence of self when you're taking anything on is always extremely beneficial. But I think they go hand in hand, bouncing off one another,
Yes.
I don't think one is mutually exclusive to the other. I think when you go into an environment where you are vulnerable, you learn a lot about yourself, and then you can use that within the dance community or outside of it for yourself as a person, and vice versa. Sometimes you learn things as a human being, you're being challenged somewhere else. You can bring that into your dance learning environment, because wherever you succeed, it becomes a part of you. And it's really important to use your success to fuel your sense of self, your confidence, to allow yourself to grow without judgment. So wherever those things are happening for you, it's really cool if you can intertwine them. So any sense of awareness of self and just being fully present in the moment when you're taking anything on is always extremely beneficial. Do your best to make it about the student. It's it's very common and very understandable for us to want to see what we want to see, or to push an agenda, if I'm going to say it harshly. And that doesn't always serve the person in front of you. You never know if they're coming into your classroom because they like this, or that. Everybody is entitled to receive what they are coming for. So when you're in tune with your student, what they're asking for, their desires, their likes, their interests, you can better serve them, right? So the less you can make it about you and what you think is important and what you like and what you think dance should look like, the better you can actually serve the individual or the group environment, whatever the case may be. So as a teacher, I always try my best to tune in with the environment that I'm in. Even if I have a little bit of a plan, I always ask a lot of questions. So what helps me most is asking my students a lot of questions. If you come to me for a private, the first thing I'm going to say is, what is your goal? How can I help you? What are you looking to facilitate for yourself today? I try my best to make it about the student and to help them feel empowered. And so even though I am there to help you, it's really all about you, and I try really to help you understand that you have the tools to do this on your own. I'm just here to share how that could be either easier or more enjoyable, or what some other tools may be that you are not aware of. But it's all about your journey and your process. And to be a good teacher, you have to really try to focus on that much more than your personal agenda. Well, Go Deeper is unique for me because it's my first time interacting with people that don't dance in the same space as people that do. And I think, and we've talked about this already a little bit, dance is such a magical thing for any person to be a part of, because it gives you so many experiences and tools and skills, and it just, it's athletic, so you're in your physical body, fully present. It's creative, so you're in your instinct, fully present. It's intellectual and cognitive, so you allow yourself to explore everything that a human being is comprised of. And for me, Go Deeper is literally taking all of those tools that I've acquired as a dancer with an awareness of how it has helped me as a person and bringing it to everybody. So it's basically a class that allows you to harness your own power through dance-based principles that we often acquire but aren't aware of. So it just helps bring the awareness back into the body, back into the person, back into any realm that you're working with, and allows you to actually practice it in a place that is safe, so that you can acknowledge that you are in charge of this, that you have this, that you own it, and show up better for yourself in whatever area that's important for you. They change all the time. I have many. I think creativity, for the most part, is shutting off the mind and accessing your instinct, intuition, gut, whatever word you're comfortable with. So for me, shutting off my mind is very different depending on what my mind wants to focus on in that particular moment. But I have learned to zone myself out actually with something creative. So for me, it's about being present more than it is getting out of my head. There was a long period of time where it was just about getting out of my head, and that for me was more about reinforcement. So I would give myself a lot of positive reinforcement. I would recall successful moments in my life, pleasant conversations, compliments, anything that helped me feel good about myself regardless of the context. And that would help me get out of the judgment zone and into creative mode. But now I've moved past that a little bit, and now I realize that I have to show up in order to create. So now I've gotten very good at letting go of judging myself. So now I'm challenging myself to just be more present, to be more focused on my task, fully embodied with it, completely enjoying it with my full self. So again, out of my head, but actually aware of the experience I'm about to have or give myself, and less the judgment that I could bring to it.
Yes, totally understand.
Sometimes I paint to get myself to dance well, because that's one creative thing I didn't study. So it's okay if I'm not good at it, or that's the permission that I give myself. So sometimes I paint to just express, and then that helps me get into my flow.
Is the painting like more of just freeing your creativity, just putting it out there?
Just getting in touch with myself. Okay. Sometimes I watch my dance videos, not to judge the movement or the progress, but to remember who I am. So I have many rituals. It just really depends on the day. That's difficult for me to answer very broadly, because I allow myself to know my students very intimately, and I have a specific way of speaking to each of them that I have seen helped them in the past. So to make it specific for them. I will put myself in a situation where it has to be specific for them, whether it's something they've struggled with recently, something they've worked towards recently, something that I know is very conducive to their personality. So it's very difficult to just say, this is what works for everybody, because everybody's different. And as a coach, I try to honor everybody's individuality and customize what I'm saying to them for them. But it always revolves around being as confident and self-assured as possible. So the words that I put together are just as reassuring as they can be, to remind them of their strengths and their abilities and their capability to get the job done, and nothing that is not constructively in that area. Because I do believe that when we feel good about ourselves, we show up as best as we can. So but I do try to make it very specific for what they've achieved, what they've accomplished, remind them what that is. It's the same that I do for myself. You know, that reminder of who I am, what I like, why it served me in the past, how I've used it in the past. So anything that I can construct that will just zone them into that space where they feel empowered. That's pretty much the formula for success: confidence and feeling empowered. On Broadway.
Okay, I can see that.
You do?
Yes.
That's very lovely. Thank
Yes.
you. I wrote a play.
Okay.
It's very special for me. I didn't realize it. You know, at the time that I was writing it, I didn't realize how personal the story is, because when the project first came into fruition, it wasn't meant to be about me. But as soon as the entire script poured out of me, I realized that this is kind of my life story, and it was very therapeutic, and I think it's very powerful. I think the message behind it is very resonant for everybody, and I do want it to be on Broadway specifically so that more people have access to the message. So that's what I'm working towards.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. I truly appreciate you and everything you're doing for the community. Very, very grateful.